Shut up and sit down.
Welcome back to Nerd Safari, especially to my likers and subscribers. You are my very favorite people. I am Ellie, your resident Star Trek nerd, and today I wanted to share a little summary and my reaction to the events from Tuesday's official Star Trek Day, including some sneak peeks and surprise reveals. Our first panel was Star Trek Discovery, where Sonequa Martin-Green introduced the latest trailer for Discovery Season 3. Now, this trailer had a lot of action and a lot of world building. Showrunner Michelle Paradise said that she was really enjoying the opportunity to be beyond established canon. Jonathan Frakes, who returned to direct, later said that there was a joy in Sonequa Martin-Green's performance in this season that hadn't been there in previous seasons. And when he asked her about this, she said that her character, Michael Burnham, is no longer driven by fear. And that's a huge change for her character, and I really can't wait to see more of that joy and energy that we glimpsed in this trailer.
Let's show them who we are.
Now, the other big news in my circles was that we got to meet a new Star Trek kitty. You know I love some Star Trek animals, even if they're just regular cats and not cosplaying as weird aliens. See my other video, like and subscribe. Now, our new best friend is called Liu, who is an enormous 2-year-old Maine Coon, and he plays Grudge, who seems to belong to one of the other new characters we meet, the seemingly human Booker, who is set to be a love interest for Burnham, and he is played by David Ajala.
We are completely disconnected, but we are also together.
You know, from around these parts, the Federation mostly collapsed after the burn.
What's the burn?
The burn was the day the galaxy took a hard left.
In the rest of the panel, there is a lot covered about how the story was written. They talk about the new characters that will be introduced, including Adira and Gray. They explain that Gray, played by trans actor Ian Alexander, is indeed a Trill. You see the spots. But we can't assume we know what that means here. After all, in this season of Discovery, we are 930 years in the future from where we left Discovery last season. This is around 800 years after Deep Space Nine. Who knows what could have happened to the Trill in that period? Now, Michelle Paradise hints at the specific circumstances surrounding Adira's introduction being relevant to understanding the character, and wouldn't say more. However, we did get the big reveal by CBS last week that Adira is Discovery's first non-binary character and is played by non-binary actor Blue Del Barrio. This has caused a huge positive reaction in communities so excited to see themselves represented in their beloved Trek, and I can't wait.
You have reached year 3188.
Is there life here? Anywhere?
Multiple life signs detected.
Now, on to the Deep Space Nine panel, which was hosted by Will Wheaton. We hear from Ira Stephen Bear, Alexander Siddig, Terry Farrell, Armin Shimmerman, Nana Visitor, and Cirroc Lofton. Ira shares that Deep Space Nine was imagined to be Gunsmoke in space, a reference I absolutely don't get because it was on TV in America, where I wasn't living, a very long time before I was born, but I did get the idea. It's a fixed location with a rotating cast of rogues and scoundrels, and we follow the lawmakers who keep them in line. We also hear that 27 years ago, Nana shared her concerns that Deep Space Nine would never make it out from under the large shadow cast by Next Generation. She shared this concern with Armin Shimmerman, and he told her that it would take time, but that their hard work would be recognized and valued. Today, Nana shared that she is regularly approached at conventions by a flood of fans, many of whom hadn't even been born when Deep Space Nine was being broadcast. All the cast shared that they saw a huge change in convention attendance around the time Deep Space Nine was released on Netflix. Alexander Siddig feels that the resonance of Deep Space Nine and why it still feels so relevant today comes from the reflection of the experience of marginalized groups in the stories we follow on the show. They discuss one of the most powerful episodes, Far Beyond the Stars, and how it was originally a storyline conceived for Jake, but Ira tweaked the concept and saw it as a good fit for Cisco. It was a challenge that Avery Brooks was keen to take on. He also directed that episode, and he was so passionate about the production, what he was creating, that he called Ira's house to talk about it every single night during the production. They also shared touching tributes to two of their colleagues that we sadly lost last year, Aaron Eisenberg and Renee Auberjonois. Of Aaron, they said that he was a best friend to everyone in the cast. Everyone loved him. He was an incredible chatterbox, amazing conversationalist, always talking. He was really funny and incredibly skillful, though he did doubt his performances constantly. He was adored by everyone who worked with him. Of Renee, they said that he was a true professional, usually grouchy, incredibly talented, opinionated, strong, and yet incredibly sweet and thoughtful. Ira shared the incredibly odd rap gift that Renee flung at him down a stairwell on the last days of filming, and it's something that he has hung in his library to this day. Ew. Now, how about some brand new Trek, Lower Decks, which is causing a big storm online. Jack Quaid shared that he was so excited about his project, he couldn't believe that already, even during quarantine, there are people cosplaying as characters from the show. Tawny Newsome shared that she actually likes trawling the hashtags to see what lovely things people are saying about the show, a habit shared by Noel Wells. Eugene Cordero is incredibly proud of the work they've done and the final product, and he is happy to answer the haters with a joy-filled prance around his house, apparently. A sentiment I feel like we could all benefit from sharing. They all shared their favourite moments and storylines. Tawny explained exactly why she hates the way Jerry O'Connell's character was animated, and they shared the mean things their friends and family said about their animated bodies. Is Boimler's body spot on? Did Tawny get an upgrade? Now, interestingly enough, a lot of this project was actually done during quarantine, so many of them did their voice work on their own or in studios with only one other person present, and the same went for the musicians. So the final work they only saw at the very end, and they said it was an incredible surprise to see everything brought together from all the solo work they did, and it was just an incredible product. Now, Tawny was a big Star Trek fan before, and she shared that she found that watching this show made her realize just how comforting it is to see the Next Generation era imagery again. The LCARS displays and the curved corridors, that's a feeling I can very much relate to. It isn't something we've seen much of in the last few years. Now, Jack had seen some episodes of the original series and a couple of the movies, but hadn't seen any of Next Generation or the other series. Unfortunately, this revelation led to the cast being assigned homework by showrunner Mike McMahon, a move that Jack acknowledged was very Boimler. We also got to see a sneak peek of the rest of the season. It looks to continue in a similar tone as we've come to expect so far, though a pretty big surprise was the reveal that we will be seeing more surprise appearances from some very familiar voices, including John Delancey as Q. Tawny also shared that she will be continuing her official Star Trek podcast with legendary podfather Paul F. Tompkins. It's called the Pod Directive, where they will be talking with notable actors, politicians, public-facing people, and other people about their love of Star Trek. So go find that in your podcatcher of choice now. Now on to the main event, the Picard Next Generation panel with Will Wheaton, Jonathan Frakes, and Patrick Stewart. When asked how he celebrates Star Trek Day, Jonathan Frakes replied that he actually celebrates Captain Picard Day. It's for the children. Patrick Stewart shared that he is currently working on his memoirs and explained exactly how his very first job working with a champion bricklayer came in very handy recently. Now, of course, Frakes directed some of Star Trek Discovery. He said that the bonds he saw within that cast reminded him so much of the bonds he shared with the Next Generation cast. He believes that a lot of that bonding was possible because Patrick Stewart is a commanding leader with high expectations, so his colleagues came to set more prepared than they would have been otherwise. which unfortunately allowed a lot more time on set for hijinks. During the first season, Patrick called a meeting, which he later apologized for, to complain about the distracting and unprofessional behavior, but he was soon convinced of its value in bringing the actors together and was soon joining in himself. Frakes revealed that the Picard cast agreed that Patrick's leadership really is an incredibly effective way for the team to bond, something that really shows in the final production. We also learned a little more about the most powerful episode, Nepenthe, and how it felt to be on set together again as Picard and Riker, and about Riker's powerful return in the season finale, back in uniform, on the deck. They discussed what it's like to direct one another, and Patrick shared details and some fun stories about the greatest day of his life when he directed Fistful of Datas. The three shared an emotional moment when Will explained that his next generation family came into his life at a time when his biological family had failed him. He talked about how appreciative he was that they stepped up and took on that role in his life when they weren't asked to do so. Patrick said it was because they all fell in love with one another. Jonathan agreed, and that their love affair continues. They praised Will for bringing so much gravity and also levity. Now, earlier Will had asked about the relationship between Picard and Riker. Patrick and Jonathan felt it was so strong because it was based on respect, trust, and just enough irreverence. From this beautiful interaction between these three wonderful men, old friends who grew up together, it's clear that these things, the trust, respect, and just enough irreverence, have also contributed to their strong bond and their relationship today. In the very first panel, we watched the trailer for Season 3 of Star Trek Discovery. At one point, Saru says, "We're disconnected, but together." That feels so much more poignant now than it did when that line was written. We learn that the Federation collapsed after the burn, but we're told and we're shown that the Federation is the people, not the ships, not the buildings, and it can and will be rebuilt if we work together. To watch these panels for yourselves, and I strongly recommend that you do, visit startrek.com/day. I'm not sure how long they will remain up there, so please take time, if only to see the last 15 minutes of the Picard panel. As always, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and whatever adventure you have planned, don't just go boldly, go proudly. Peace out, nerds.
Shut up and sit down.